Hey guys, welcome to a video where I ramble in GTA. Hadn't done one of these in a bit, and I think, whoops, just kind of in an introspective mood or whatever, and not really feeling up to getting anything else recorded just this moment. I'd rather do that when I'm actually in the mood to play certain games. I feel like it makes the videos a little better. I've set up everything so the audio is all swapped out. New playlist that is all video game soundtracks, so don't have to worry about even like the stuff that's free to use but could be claimed or whatever. It should be all good. Anyway. Yeah. I don't know if I have a specific idea in mind of what I was going to talk about or not. I guess kind of like thinking back on, you know, myself when I was younger. Was kind of the mood I was in of like I'd recently watched Anthony Padilla video with the an assumptions video of gay pastors, and it kind of got me thinking about, you know, how I came to that's probably something I can do there. Okay. How I came to the conclusions about my own belief system and reconciling that with the fact that I'm gay and furry and all that other stuff. I don't know, and I just didn't really feel like, you know, sitting down and making... Maybe I will. I've always thought about making video essays, but it's a lot of work to do it right. And with all the talk lately about people not putting the work in and plagiarizing, it's, you know... It's a lot of work to do something like that, even though I feel like it's something that I might be interested in pursuing. Anyway, getting back onto the original topic. Why is this? There should be shuffling. This playlist has a bunch of different soundtracks in it. Whatever. If it wants to stay in Dark Cloud, it can. It is shuffling though. Red. So yeah. I may have talked about this at various points in other videos or not. I can't remember what things I scrapped and which ones I've gone with. Yeah, so I grew up Catholic. And that seems pretty incompatible with being gay and a lot of other things about my lifestyle, but I think at the end of the day I still kind of consider myself Catholic or something close, you know? And it doesn't really have any like I don't really have much cognitive dissonance about it anymore. When I was younger, a lot. I went through quite a bit because I tried to figure this out all on my own, and I'm kind of just thankful for the background I had in order to figure this out. Like I very much experienced the case that I had to pursue, you know. It was encouraged that I engage with my faith in like a real sense, not like oh, this is the way that you know, everyone does this. This is the way the church and whatever is organized to do this. You know, you go on this retreat with whatever and you talk about whatever bullshit. Like, or like my confirmation's what comes to mind, because I've gone on 2 retreats in my life. Once in high school and once for confirmation when I was in middle school. I guess I should probably go into... I mean, I shouldn't assume that most people don't know the intricacies of Catholicism. It's the truth. Most people don't. Most people I've experienced with, and had discussions with about theology and philosophy since coming out haven't had that sort of background, so I should back up and talk about stuff. So, yeah, maybe we slow the roll on the audio, turn it down a little bit. RuneScape came in a little hot and heavy there. So yeah, wait, Lowrider, where's Dollar? I'm distracting myself. There it is. Okay. What a dumb vehicle. Whatever. Front bumper. Where's bumpers? Oh, I'm blind. I won't do this again. I'll try to find something where I have to think less. Oh my god. I hate this car so much. Mud guards. Wow, that is just terrible looking. Whatever, it's what the customer wants. Normally they don't look too bad, but this one, oh, I hate it. Yeah. So, little bit of a... Well, that's great. I've damaged the vehicle. Customer will not be happy about that. So, what am I talking about when I said that I went on... Well, retreats are not uniquely Catholic or even Christian, but I think it's something that a lot of people probably haven't experienced if you didn't have any sort of religious background, or maybe hippie background. Like, a fully secular, non-spiritual background, you may not have much experience with it, but it's basically... Now, I know they take a lot of different forms, but, like, you and a group of people go to, like... It could be... I know some places have retreats on campgrounds, but generally there's like a retreat house or something. And you go and you spend a weekend there, or a week, or however long the retreat is, away from, you know, your normal life and whatnot, and either discuss certain things or just spend that time, you know, having a designated time away with a group of people, like-minded or not, discussing things, or, you know, either praying, if it's religious, discussing themes about certain events that are coming up that might be tied to the reason why you're taking that retreat, what have you. And so the first one I took was when I was, oh man, I don't remember. It was middle school. This guy's gonna be a little mad that I dinged up his bumper that he doesn't have. You didn't want a bumper, so I don't even know what I broke. Whatever. But yeah. And so, like, the reason why I bring up the retreats is it's the comparison between the two retreats and what I kind of got out of them kind of reflects my relationship with my faith and religion, you know, how I handle things. So the first one was for like confirmation, which, to go into that's a Catholic sacrament. I don't know if it's similar versions of it exist in other faiths too, but it's basically like a second baptism, so to speak. It's yeah, that's an oversimplification, but it's where you accept your faith, like, you're old enough now to be mature enough to accept your faith, and we do this when we're 12, so no, you're not. I think that's not the right age for confirmation, but again, that all kind of plays into the, like, the whole I didn't really enjoy that retreat. It felt like it was very much going through the motions of, here's the checklist of all the things that we're supposed to talk about. Here's like a bunch of different like games and activities and things we're all gonna do, and it didn't really get to the heart of the matter of, I think the point of the retreat was, hey, are you actually doing this because you do believe fully this faith, that you want to recommit yourself now that you are your own person and not just, you know, because you're baptized as a baby, but are you ready to commit yourself to Catholicism? It wasn't really about that. That was what it was supposed to be, but that wasn't at all the feeling. It was the same kind of, like, put-on BS that you get from every other sort of, you know, youth churchy function or stuff like that. And, like, my parents never really participated too strongly in that. I did, like, one or two things. I was in Cub Scouts, which kind of is tangential to that, but, like, even that, like, that has its own whole can of worms with its own problems. But honestly, I was mostly fine with the things I experienced with that. It was actually teaching real life skills and stuff, and my dad was heavily involved in that. Though, like, I'm fine with that now. As a child, I hated, you know, doing anything that my parents wanted me to do, basically, so I had a different attitude then about it, but that's a digression. When it comes to the retreat for confirmation, I didn't understand the point of why I was there. I now know, in retrospect, what they were trying to do with it. Well, what they were supposed to be trying to do. But obviously, they're not going to be, like, trying to shake up the belief systems of a bunch of 12-year-olds who are following in their parents' footsteps or whatever. But in high school, it was a way different experience. The difference between how my grade school and my high school handled virtually any facet of, like, education and preparing people for the real world. I mean, obviously, they still dropped the ball. It was a college prep school, and they were prepping people for a world that kind of doesn't really exist anymore. Maybe arguably never did, and it probably shouldn't exist anyways. And is not really, I don't know. Anyway, it did a lot. It was a much better experience, and I say that from someone who did not open up about the secrets that I was keeping, because a lot of it was, hey, a teenager in a all-boys Christian school in this era. This was like 2011, I think. 2010? It may have been 2010, because it's junior year, beginning of junior year, I think. Either 2010 or 2011. And, like, kind of the point was, you know, nothing you say on the retreat ever gets out. Like, it's a commitment everyone made, the teachers who went on the retreat made. The, priest there, and everyone opened up about stuff. And I mean, I opened up about some of the struggles I was going through, but I kind of only scratched the surface because, you know, I did not know I had anxiety at the time. I wouldn't be diagnosed or I wouldn't know there was something wrong with me in terms of anxiety for another like 3 years, and I wouldn't be diagnosed of anything for another like 5 or 6. But that experience, everyone did genuinely open up and took it seriously, and like, I think that was the first thing. And like the responses that the priest for our school and teachers had for a lot of students who had opened up about relevant things, I guess, to my experience, it kind of set me on a new path in terms of my relationship between my faith and my sexuality. At the time, And for a good year or so, couple years after that, I was kind of in denial. I certainly was in the closet. I guess I wasn't really so much in denial. I knew that I wasn't straight at that point. But I didn't know how. I did not have a plan for dealing with that moving forward. The plan was basically pose as asexual, if nothing else, or just, you know, just a back burner. Don't ever worry about it. It's not like it's forced its way into how I live my life at that point. But that was completely untenable. What do I have in this garage up here? I'm curious. But yeah. And so, like, that was... I wouldn't say that specifically, but, like, in general, high school was when I started... And, like, also a couple of my teachers and their approach to things and certain hot and button issues. What the hell? Okay. Huh. I don't remember either of these vehicles. Well, I'll take this. Maybe it's upgraded. It kind of set me on a path of like, okay, the idea that being gay or even pursuing that type of like things are a lot more complicated and a lot more nuanced than, you know, public perception about the compatibility of Christianity and homosexuality is, or anything like that. And that also, church teachings in general, even within the Catholic Church or within other Christian organizations, they don't seem to agree. And pretty notable reason, for one thing, wasn't really a topic of priority for Jesus. Never mentioned anything to do with same-sex relationships. He did speak on the importance of marriage. Leaving that out would be dishonest, but like marriage between a man and a woman, and like the sacrament of marriage, the combining of two souls into one and all that, the purpose of procreation, all of that is a point of discussion. That being said, I also think that something that's important to take away from the faith in general and from Jesus himself is that things have to change. Like, the reason why, you know, okay, a random person I maybe once knew 5 years ago went offline. Good for them. If God's rule was, you know, static, his influence and his rules on Earth and all of that did not change and adapt to the growth of humanity, then there would not be Christianity. All Christians would, well, maybe not all Christians, because some of them came from non-Jewish backgrounds, but we'd all be Jews, essentially. Or at least, you know, I mean, butterfly effect, how things would actually play out, whatever, it'd be different. But Jesus changed the rules of the faith. He put an end to the old covenant and brought about a new covenant. And how that is picked apart and enforced, it kind of varies, because, you know, a lot of it was left on the shoulders of people who followed him. and they disagreed vehemently with each other. Eventually, certain rules were agreed upon, certain writings were agreed to be the truest ones. There are more Gospels than just the 4 that are in the Bible, but those 4 are the ones believed to be the closest to the actual events of Jesus' life and teachings. And the only references in the New Testament towards any sort of sentiment that is anti same-sex relationships, anti-queerness in general, all are referencing the Old Testament because that's kind of what they had to go on. And they were like letters from Paul, for example, to communities that were writing to him for advice of how to run their communities and handle issues that they had going on. And, like, the responses, I mean, in the same sentence, like in one of the letters, Paul forbids both homosexuality and interracial marriage. And so, like, you can't just say that, oh, that part's right, but the other part he was wrong on. No, he was just incorrect. And for his time, he was doing the best he could with the information available to him to give advice as a church leader. And, like, mind you, he didn't grow up in the faith either. He had adopted all of this when he became an apostle. He was originally, his original name was Saul, and he persecuted early Christians and Jews. And so, what was I looking for? Something had popped up, but whatever. Let's go to the agency and change vehicles, maybe pick up a mission. Anyway, cut this church history lesson off a little bit. The point is, through like church history courses and, social justice, Catholic social justice teachings and things like that, had begun to develop a much more nuanced and deeper understanding of my faith, and I'd spent a lot of time outside of school also researching things and seeing theologians' opinions and various priests' opinions about certain things, and opinions inside of and outside of the church in dealing with these topics. And I kind of came to the conclusion, especially like because of the fact that the Second Vatican Council was ended early before discussing any matters pertaining to family and sexuality. The church really is kind of just operating on some ancient rules. A church that is designed to update and modernize its rules along with society and continue striving towards becoming the best version of itself and acknowledging its mistakes in the past, has gotten really bad at doing exactly that because it's such a bureaucratic mess. And like, I've had arguments with my dad about just to the level that there is still inherent corruption and bureaucratic problems with the church. But you can't deny that it's there. You can't deny that it's an old institution that used to be far more corrupt than it is now, but that doesn't mean it's not corrupt now. And that it's not done fixing itself. And so that's kind of like where I'm at, is that I don't claim to know the right answers, but I know, at least on this, from my own personal experiences, and like I can get into that, why I am pretty comfortable saying, yeah, I'm openly gay, and hell, I'm not even fully sure about my gender anymore. Like, I know I'm masculine. It would never not be masculine, but the societal expectation of a man and societal definition of a man and how I approach my own masculinity are somewhat incongruous with each other. For the most part, they line up, but I've developed my own internal sense of masculinity that is different. So, you know, when I take one of those random online quizzes that, you know, it's like, are you trans or whatever, I come back fully masculine and cis, but also very genderqueer. I don't know what to make of that, but that's just how it is. Whoops. But that's also another digression. At any rate, like, generally speaking, I do consider myself Catholic, but I think when it comes to the issues of family and sexuality, and about a number of other things too that I won't get into, I kind of think that the church's position is super outdated and antiquated, and I kind of view the institution of the church as a necessity that also happens to just be the victim of any large organization of humans, in that, especially one that has been around so long, it's full of people's own biases. It's everyone leads things and puts a piece of themselves into it. And when you have an institution that large, that existed for that long, there is mountains of just garbage. I mean, take a look at, like, the U.S. government, for example. Another great example of something, it's not even that old compared to a lot of other governments, but just so overloaded with kind of just dumb, archaic beliefs intermixed with progressive, you know. You have camps of people trying to make things better and camps of people trying to make sure that nothing breaks. Everyone generally seems well-intentioned, but a lot of people have really dumb ideas, and a lot of people share dumb ideas, and those get encoded into law. And the same sort of thing has happened with the church. Same sort of things happened with, like, every large organization. It's just the nature of things. You can't ever have a perfect organization. So I think that's kind of my nature. I have a similar relationship with Catholicism as I do with being an American, where I think that obviously the institution I am part of is a long way off from being the best version of itself. But I don't stop myself from identifying with it. I'm just realistic about it. And, like, I like to try and learn more and get closer to what I believe is the right ideology, but I know I'm not there yet, and I know that, you know, what I believe now is not, you know, I may change my mind about things in the future, because I certainly have in the past. I used to be more conservative. I used to be much more in line with my religion and, you know, my family and stuff. And in the back of my mind, I knew it couldn't hold up because of the way that I am. You know, I'm gay, and then I also, beyond that, I can't operate in capitalism properly because of a social anxiety disorder. The hoops that you have to jump through to even, you know, properly exist like that it's kind of, is it snowing? What is... Huh. Just fireflies? I've never noticed fireflies in GTA before. I don't know why. The hoops you have to jump through, like, it's a whole... I'll make a whole nother video when it comes to anxiety. But yeah, I guess the main reason why I wanted to, like, put this out in my more public forum is that, like, I know a lot of people, this is a subject that definitely has taken lives. People have been in my shoes, and I even at a period of time was suicidal about these kinds of ideas. In high school, I never got help about it. I managed to get myself out of it through my own research. And also, I had a resurgence of it in college, especially after I met my boyfriend and kind of was in crisis about things. And like, in my case, prayer did actually help. And I think that's kind of a wild thought, and it's not... I wouldn't suggest people not pray naturally, especially if you are Christian or Catholic and you're trying to approach these things, but like, you need to know that prayer is not going to, like, you need to be able to find the answers you're looking for yourself. You need to be able to be receptive, but not be manipulated. And like for me, the right answer was that I'm on the right course. In fact, the wild thing is that everything about all the bad choices that I had made in my life largely led to me being, you know, doubling down on my anxiety, becoming increasingly reclusive, and all of that. The fact that I had found someone, or someone had found me, in spite of all of that, I ignored all of my bad instincts every step of the way to find myself at my boyfriend's side. And he only makes me a better person and encourages me and helps me pursue my passions, and he's also probably one of the best people, kindest people, most caring about others I've ever known. Like right in line with my rest of my family, of all genuinely good people. Like, and it just, the idea that that relationship that I had was somehow evil or not what was God's plan felt ridiculous. And I kind of came to that conclusion after like fighting myself over it and praying on it, and like, I won't get into the specifics of it, but I kind of got the answer that I was, you know, I got the answer I was hoping for, of course, but I got an answer from my prayers, and it lined up with everything I had come to understand about myself and my faith. And I don't know, maybe everyone's answer is different. Maybe there isn't a concise, like, everything is okay or not. I don't know that that was ever really the point. I think the point was that you need to analyze every action. You don't just have a blanket rule of like, these types of things are evil or good. Everything in context. That was something I learned in high school as well, with the way that, I mean, I forgot the specific terminology, but analyzing actions taken and figuring out if something is good, neutral, or bad, and like, in a much more like real sense, and not like, oh, this is like, this type of thing is always bad. And not that there is a one clear answer. It's just learning to think critically about things and try to use, you know, judgment in deciding whether or not what you're doing is good or bad, and why you're doing it. Motive is so important. So, what I'm getting at is, for me, and I think for a lot of people, the answer that I got from God, essentially, is this is a good thing. My my relationship, a gay relationship, my approach to my sexuality is good. And that I should not hold back from pursuing it at all. And I think a lot of it is that you have to, like, what I took away from it is that the important thing is a respect when it comes to sexuality and people and whatnot. That and also, like, not judging. So I have my own personal rules about certain things that still exist. But, yeah. I found that if you ever talk to anyone... Oh, the nightclub safe's full. This is very ironic to be playing GTA talking about these things, but whatever. The only people that, like, when you actually talk to someone who is genuinely, like, faithful and loving, like a genuine priest or something, they are never hateful bigots. Never, ever. They are always the kindest, most understanding people. The real ones, not the actual bigots and stuff like that. They don't deserve to be priests. Because judgment really has no place. And I really think that the most important thing in terms of, you know, spirituality, because this goes beyond Christianity, I don't know that we can really be confident that any faith is the true faith. I think the best we can guess is that we are close enough, as close as we can get. And what we have to work with is scripture, and maybe other prophets from other faiths were right too, to some extent. Maybe it comes down to personal interpretation from what people have experienced. I don't know. I just have what I've experienced. And, you know, my own personal experiences are all I have to go off of, and they have led me to where I am, and I feel pretty happy about, you know, my identity, all of the different parts of it that seem like they would be incongruous from, you know, an outside perspective, aren't for me. A lot of my issues with my self-esteem and self-identity, they aren't really related to being gay or being Catholic or anything like that. They kind of come to other parts, and I feel like I read a lot and hear a lot about still gay people and trans people from a religious background who are, you know, who kill themselves, or they face extreme reactions from family and friends about them attempting to just be true to themselves, when everything we're taught as children in a religious background is to seek that, to be true to yourself. Like, I just want you to know that there are those of us out here, we exist, that you can make it to the other side. You can find that inner strength and confidence in yourself that, yeah, you're gay, and that's fine. That is how God made you. If you're trans, same thing. I know I really mean how God made you. Well, that's just everyone, you know, everyone has their own things that they're going to have to conquer in their life. No one is dealt the same hand. and everyone has struggles. And you can only put yourself in other people's shoes so much. And you can't really pretend to know exactly what God wants and why you were dealt the hand you were. You just are. And so when it comes to trans people, I mean, hell, I used to have much different opinions about this when I was less informed, but honestly, I think it's a similar case with gay people when it comes to the Bible. Like, it doesn't really come up that much, and if anything, I would say the Bible is more explicitly in favor of it than homosexuality, because there are a few people in the Bible who change their identity, so to speak, or, you know, they leave a part of themselves behind and are renewed. And I think that kind of wraps back into, and it's not just trans, I think that this applies to, like, a lot of different sort of, I think it's just part of maturity in general. It's identifying your real self and working towards building upon that and shedding off masks and, like, false identities or childish identities. Childish in the sense of, like, you formed this idea of yourself at a earlier point in your life where you actually didn't really as concretely understand who you were. And I think it's a constant process of getting closer to that. And for some people, that means that either the gender that they were assigned or the gender they've discovered themselves to be. I think all of it. I think everything about our experience is much more fluid than we'd like to think. I think as humans, we like to think that there is solid answers about everything. And I just don't think that's how the universe works. Certainly not how God works. And as we grow and mature and, you know, experience more of life, you yourself discover more about yourself, you develop more, and one of those things that can change and develop is your gender. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't. I honestly even think orientation can drift, and I don't think it's something you really have much control over. It's just how you experience life and how your brain has developed from, you know, even before birth. Just, you get an innate wiring and then things develop over time. You are a biological organism. You are not set in stone. And you gotta, I think the worst thing you can do is reject something that you know to be true about yourself. And I don't mean that your sexuality, like your biological sex. That's not what I mean. I think gender is obviously, like, its own thing. That the conflation of sex and gender is an operation that was carried out by society, especially Western society, long ago, and it's just stuck around. Just like, I don't know, ties. Like, why does a tie exist? Why should the society that tells me that men are supposed to wear ties also tell me that other things that men are supposed to be? Like, men are supposed to have dicks. Like, okay. What? I don't know. That seems like you're saying a lot of things that don't make a lot of sense when you look at it. Like, why would genitalia determine everything about your role in society? And yeah, it's ridiculous when you think about it. And I think you can extend that logic towards a lot of different things. Like, at the end of the day, Gender is just a invention by society to simplify mating. And then you have the structures of a given society's religion, like, organizing exactly what that means. Like, the most obvious, simple breakdown is, okay, well, there's two, generally, obvious sexes. So just organize society around those two. The simplest possible organization is masculine and feminine, men and women. But that's not how society has always treated genders. It's not even Western society. And a lot of what we know about our own society is younger than you might imagine. A lot of it's older, like ties, for example. Still don't know why those exist. But so much about, like, American puritanical society was an invention of, like, the 1800s, crazily enough. It's not as old as, like, going back to the medieval times. Some of it is, like, a resurgence of those types of ideas. But a lot of it came from, like, people like John Harvey Kellogg and, you know, yeah, the cereal guy. He, and people like him, where there's this new wave of this ideology, and because they were also found themselves, or not found themselves, but intentionally put themselves at the head of brands and stuff, these types of ideologies were very much in fashion and spread like wildfire. And the religions that they came from, the names of those religions are, like, forgotten to time, meanwhile. Like, no one knows what a Christian Scientist is. And you'd be very blown away to discover how much of what you understand about, you know, American society comes from this what is essentially a glorified cult. And, like, an American purity culture and stuff like that. As you wonder, well, why is it that Americans that seem to have such a much more hang-up with sex than Europeans do, when Europeans are the ones that have been... They've had the Christian religions far longer than America's existed. Like... And it comes back to that. Like, things are a lot more complicated, and the sources of these belief systems are often not where you might expect them to have come from. You know, this is probably not a good spot to, like, hop out and walk around. I don't know why I pulled over. I should find, like, a mission to do or something. We'll sell a car from there. But yeah. And, like, obviously was just speaking from, like, memory and the things I've studied over the years and stuff. I don't have sources on hand. Okay, what's this? You got a random objective that showed up. I think it's that yellow vehicle. Oh, do I need something faster to catch it? Gone? I still see it. I just don't see the marker anymore. Wait, what? Oh. I pre-cook. I got thrown off. Whatever. Yeah. So, what was I saying? I've distracted myself from too much. Okay. Boy, I've lost my train of thought completely. Right, I was kind of just giving disclaimer about what I've been talking about. Like, it's not a video essay, you know? I didn't do any rigorous research. I just, you know, started recording and talking because it's just the mood I was in. So, you know, to do, like, study your own stuff. Obviously, I know most people who would probably be consuming my content are not religious whatsoever, and that's fine, you know? I'm not one to want to push my faith onto someone. I just know that there are people with a religious background who find themselves in the type of community I'm in, and they may not be as secure about themselves as I am about myself. And for one thing, that's, you know, that's okay. It's okay to still be figuring stuff out. I think a lot of people have this feeling that they need to have a concrete identity. Let me be real, if you're, like, younger than... Honestly, probably younger even older than I am, like 40. And you don't have a concrete identity? I don't know if you're even supposed to yet. At least, you know... When you're in your early 20s, you're not supposed to have the world figured out. You're not supposed to know who you are yet. And I know that may feel crazy from, you know, people asking you this kind of crap when you're in high school and middle school. Like, what are you going to be when you grow up? Or, you know, going into college, you have to figure out your major. That's... No, you don't know. You don't know who you're going to be entirely. Oh, it's plane going down. Okay. Alright, well, I'll try and figure out where that crash is. This car is a little... Give me that. I need a Banshee. Come on, man. Well, it crashed. I'm trying to figure out where that crash happened. Yeah. At the end of the day, everyone is basically just an overly smart primate who has been thrust into a society built by people who are long dead. Built off of, you know, other people who are also long dead from a different background. Adapting and trying to make a better society, but not actually knowing a damn thing about what they're doing, just doing the best they can. And I think it's important to try and remember that. And, like, when you see people written about, people who accomplish great things, know that vastly more people who have existed did not. They've just lived their lives and survived. And we shouldn't have this idea that, you know, you have to do everything right. You have to figure everything out. You have to have a strong identity of, like, a strong sort of sense of, you know, duty and work ethic and everything. Plenty of people haven't, you know? I would like a better work ethic. I'm not saying you shouldn't have a good work ethic, but people have been struggling with the types of things that people struggle with now for all of history. It's just no one wants to be remembered like that, you know? And a lot of people's concerns were simpler, I suppose, because society was less complex in the past. And it doesn't mean that just because, you know, for example, oh, you know, we talk about gay people and trans people so much now, and that's why they're sick of hearing about it and all that. Well, it's not that it was better and that it wasn't a problem way back when, or that people weren't dealing with these issues. It's just it was something that you had to hide. You had to keep it in the background and live your life. And like, oh, person kill themselves for mysterious reasons. You know, maybe they never made it. They died to some other type of disease in their youth. A disease that maybe things were worse, but they were so used to hiding things about themselves, or they got it being promiscuous with the same sex, or maybe even not even related to gay, you know, that, but like other mental health things. People dying from diseases that may have been preventable, or they may have been able to find a treatment. Far more likely because they had other things that were related to that issue. Why am I over here? Why did I set a waypoint over here? Oh well. And, you know, there's whole tons of factors about things that just, I feel like, wow, why am I moving so slowly? Get left out in the history books. Like, can you imagine if we had access to, if there was social media existed for every generation that's ever existed, the amount of, well, for one thing, they would have figured out issues they were keeping hidden, because it would have been more easy, more, you know, be easier for them to find like-minded individuals to talk about stuff. Multiple social revolutions have been based off of the idea of like-minded individuals finding a way to meet up and discuss socially progressive ideas outside of the mainstream that then become a new mainstream and revolutionize the way that we think about things. Because the engine of society to keep, you know, to enforce people to fall in line, it's a strong incentive. And I think we have invented the tool to dismantle a lot of the damage that had been built up by Western society with social media. But it's a double-edged, because the internet and social media in general has allowed all like-minded people to find each other and discuss things, for better or worse. And whether that means the, you know, queer people being able to find each other and organize and live a life that isn't so underground and hidden. Or if that means, you know, people with dangerous ideologies like QAnon and crap like that happening. You get both. That's just kind of the nature. And you get a lot of other issues society never faced before. Issues like mass murder, mass shooters. Like, okay, yeah, there have been like serial killers and stuff, but normally they aren't acting, or it's not nearly ever been as many as there are now, and they weren't acting necessarily with this idea that the world is broken and they have to lash out, to feel compelled to lash out, because what else can you do? And like, we are in a very interesting time where we don't have... The best we can do is look back on all of the resources we have available to us, and all of those are not from an era like ours. And they're very much parsed, like, they're clean. For the most part. Not exclusively. There are some real ones out there. Discuss issues more candidly and such, but... The fact is, a lot of the people, like mental health issues and stuff, I think there's an uptick in anxiety disorders and certain disorders that have been caused by social media. I also suspect that a lot of people who would have had mental health died from some other issue that either a comorbidity, so like there's a lot of digestive comorbidities when it comes to mental health because your stomach is very connected to your mind, and so the number of people that have died from like dysentery and stuff, like imagine if you had IBS or more extreme variants of that and you then get dysentery and you're more likely to die than the average person is. Like back then, and so many people died from cholera and stuff like that. I just think that you were more likely to get taken out if you had mental health disorders. And so they always existed. There was no formal diagnosis for these types of issues, but people have always been struggling with these types of things. And they were disadvantaged. And if you're disadvantaged in history, much of what we know about history and about, you know, different historical periods was written by those wealthy enough to be able to read and write, and to take the time to write, as opposed to having to, you know, being forced to spend all of their time trying to sustain themselves and their family. And, like, that's just an inherent bias that has existed, and, like, only now are we in a period where future generations are going to be able to know everything we had to say and think. And so, like, I think understanding that humans have always just kind of been, we've always been kind of the same, you know? We're all different and all the same. There's nothing wrong with you if you are, well, I mean, I guess, you know, there's maybe clinically if you are struggling with mental health and stuff, but my point is that, like, you're not a failure. There's not really success or failure beyond what, you know, the society may deem as success and failure. When it comes at the end of the day, you are a biological being, and success means survival. Beyond that, that's kind of where philosophy and theology and all that come into play, of whatever you want to make of that life. And the type of impact you want to have on the world, you kind of have to find that yourself. Oh, there's a payphone hit. Oh, I think I lost it. I don't think it's there anymore. And, you know, my calling, the feeling that I chase is that I want to be able to create. I think about when I was going through the worst parts of my mental health, the solace I found in the media that was created by other people. Art created by artists I looked up to, and videos created by YouTubers that I got entertainment from, and some I looked up to. And I mean, you know, it doesn't... I enjoyed the creation, and the fact that people can make things, and then the internet allows thousands, even just hundreds, even just a handful, just a handful of people who wouldn't have been able to experience what you created otherwise because they're from all over the country and all over the world, can and will experience your creations and take joy from that, is kind of the most amazing thing about the times we live in. At least from my experience. That I got so much joy and comfort from the things that I created. I try to remind myself of that, and like, not things I created, things that's joy and comfort from the things people have created. Things they may not have been so confident were super great. Maybe have even gone back and like, some of them have deleted their galleries or purged their YouTube channels or any other, you know, music, like unpublished music and stuff like that. And lost the confidence in their creations. But I still enjoyed it. I got comfort from that. Even if they've moved on, like... And so I try to remember that when I am critical of my own work, that if people are enjoying it, if anyone, even one other person, is taking joy from the thing that I made because I wanted to, that I just could and did make, that's all it really, like... all that really matters at the end of the day, you know? Like, that's like my mission. Is to just keep making things and putting the type of, you know, happiness and comfort into the world that I feel like I benefited so much when I was struggling in my teenage years. And, you know, I still struggle. I have, you know, my anxiety and stuff, and I still take a lot of comfort from watching YouTube. Maybe I watch some different types of content. I watch some of the same types of stuff, but I hope that what I make, my art and my videos, can give people the same sort of thing that I got from it. And I think, and part of that is I can bring, you know, my own philosophy and beliefs about the world into stuff, and not push it on anyone, but hopefully put it out there, and, you know, if that can help people, cool. It's cool that I can use this whole... use this whole platform to, you know, do some interesting stuff. Maybe change the course of someone's life in a way that I could never have anticipated, and the way that my life had been changed by content I encountered. Content that was not that deep, even, some of it. Some of it certainly is deep, but, you know. Oh boy, I got a bounty on me. Yeah, I don't know, like... I'm happy to see that my content is getting more and more views over time. It's kind of affirming to me to know that, you know, I'm not just shouting into an empty void or something, but that people actually are coming and appreciating, you know, what I have to say and do in games and whatnot. And I don't know if anyone's going to care about this video or not. Maybe it'll get no views. And, well, okay. I'm not even going to take up a time slot with it. I'm just going to... Why is there someone in this session? Oh. Thought I locked it, but whatever. Let's see. Knock the fence down here. There we go. That'll be enough. Alright. Pick it up. There we go. Oh boy, a rank up. My controller feels like it's being weird right now. Yeah. If this video gets no views, that's fine, because that's not going to impact my other videos. Then they've already gotten views. I've already had an impact. And I can always hope that I have a bigger one, but, you know. Like, I want to bring that effect onto the world that I had benefited from, but I want to, like, it is part of me and my ego that I want to be the one to do it. It's not enough that the content already exists. That's what I want, my effect. I want to contribute to that effect on the world. Oh, come on. Oh, boy. Was this always a 3-star? Did I always have a police chopper on me? Because that's going to be a problem. Yeah. I need to find a way to hide that is not visible from the sky. Alright. Come on. I've broken line of sight. Okay, I need to find... Nope. Driving right past the police station is probably not a great method for losing the cops. Can I get underneath a structure over here? We'll try this. See if this works. Oh, well, this video's already an hour and 15. I did not realize I'd been talking for that long. Okay, we lost the cops. Yeah. So this is not going to take up a time slot, so it can be as short as long as I want. I don't know what day it's going to go up, but I probably want a better thumbnail than like the random vlog thumbnail. I'll make like a, I don't know, Luka Rambles in GTA thing. Oh, it's not one of the skeleton things. I don't care about that. So maybe this one won't come out for a while because I might sit on it for a bit. And I know I should probably do something more engaging in the videos. It's just because I'm so lost in thought, doing much of anything in game is, you know, a bit much. It's just kind of something on the background because it seems like the easiest thing to do to have the video be a little bit more engaging than just me talking. As I don't have, I'm not feeling up for ever getting a camera and talking to that, and the PNG tuber is a little probably boring to be staring at for an entire video. Yeah, that flip was not going to happen. I needed a lot more air. I need something faster if I ever wanted to do a full flip. So, I mean, I obviously may use Warframe for these types of things too. I don't know how I'm gonna organize videos about that are kind of rambly about life. But yeah, I think we may have reached a natural end of this one. So thank you guys so much for watching as I keep ramming into things. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Feel free to let me know. If you like my content, feel free to subscribe and follow me on various other social media stuff that you can find in my link tree that, maybe I'll post it in this comments. Either way, link tree, you know, linktree.e/ EE and then / Luka the Yacht. All right. Well, I guess I'll see you guys later.